Hello team and family, this is video number 2 over the distributive property. Determine which choice best shows the distributive property of multiplication. So, for my first one, 1a, I've got 10 times 6 equals 6 times 10. This is not the distributive property, this is the property that we learned last night's homework, which is actually the commutative property. So I'm just going to put commutative. Commutative means you can change the order of the numbers and they'll still be equal expressions. Letter B, 10 times 6 times 8 equals 10 times 6 times 8, and the parentheses just moved. That's what we talked about last video. It's called the associative property because you can regroup things and still get the same value. Then C says 10 times 6 plus 8 equals 10 times 6 plus 10 times 8. And if I think about 10, and I'll put in parentheses, 6 plus 8, we said the distributive property, you distribute the common factor, which is 10, amongst 6 and 8, so that's equal to 10 times 6 plus 10 times 8, which seems to match letter C, so C is actually the distributive property. And D, which is one that we haven't exactly gotten to yet, shows the identity property of multiplication. Any number times 1 equals that number, and so we can label right now, but you will get the opportunity in next life work to actually figure out more what the identity property of multiplication is. Let's put identity property. So my answer for the distributive property is letter C. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do number 3. I'm not going to worry about 2 and 4 over here. So for 3, it says A, 5 times 0 equals 0 times 5. That actually shows the commutative property because they're switching the order, commutative, switching the order of the equation. Next one shows 5 times 0 times 6 is equal to 5 times 0 times 6, but the parentheses moved. That shows the associative property. The next problem, or next equation, says 5 times 0 plus 5 times 0 plus 6 equals 5 times 0 plus 5 times 6. If I was to write out 5 parentheses 0 plus 6, and I used the distributive property to multiply the common factor, that would equal 5 times 0 plus 5 times 6. So when I look up at my answer choices, that would be the distributive property. So it's distributing out the common factor. And then the last one, 1 times 5 equals 5. Like I said earlier, anything times 1 equals that number. That's the identity property of multiplication, which is something we'll be talking about more in the next video. So my answer is C. That one shows me the distributive property. So that's my answer.